Hey guys, my name is Emerson Gallen. I'm the owner of Cowboy Skate, and we're doing a 12-foot ramp install today. This is going to go over all the tips and tricks for building a Cowboy Skate mini ramp. So our customer wants their ramp right here in the corner of their yard. As you can see, it's dirt and it's a little bit uneven. The first and most important thing to do with your ramp is making sure you have a level surface. So we're gonna bring in some cinder blocks, we're gonna bring in some pavers. We've got this line with string taped off that's level and the size of our ramp. We're gonna get everything set up so that we can build our ramp on a solid level surface. We have our cinder blocks and our pavers. They're all level and we feel like we're good off the ground. So we're gonna get our slope 1 and our slope 2 positioned 8 feet apart from each other on your pavers the way you want them. And one person can do this, but it's nice to have 2 people to do it. You're gonna wanna prop them up and we'll get some screws and we'll screw it together. Every 2x4 is gonna fit in a slot on the inside of the ramp, and these pre-drilled holes have your screws. You can just go right in there. And that will get your ramp nice and solid to build more. You'll screw it in on that side, and we suggest starting with just the 2 on the back. So as you can see here, we have these 2 boards on the back and 1 on the front. That kind of establishes where our ramp is and where it's gonna go. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna build the center box. Here we have our center wall plywood pieces on the outside, and we put a 2x4 on each end to kind of establish where our box is. We're gonna build the other half of the half pipe on this far side, and then we'll line them all up and attach them to each other while they're light and just framed out. You can see here we have this split in this ramp where the 2 pieces meet. You really want to avoid that. So if you see, if I lift it up, it levels out. I want to get some proper support under there so that these 2 pieces are flush with each other and straight. That these 2 boards line up when you're screwing them together. Okay, so this is the standing deck piece, and I want to just do a quick overview, some tips on these, and just with the whole ramp. As you can see, our little grooves here that your 2x4s fit into. This piece has an open end right here, and it's closed off down below. You want to make sure this is your bottom. This little piece right here should be resting on the ground, and your 2x4 rests in here, and up here is the top where your standing deck will screw into. So keep that in mind as you're building all your ramp pieces. If there's a border, that's the bottom, that goes on the ground. Let's do this. We're gonna fit the 2x4s into the walls of the standing box, or the standing deck walls. And we're gonna do all 4 of these 2x4s in here. So this is the standing deck box. It goes on both ends of the ramp. So we will move that back there right now. This mounts onto the ramp the same way that everything else does. You're just gonna put several screws through these 2x4s, attach them to each other. You wanna make sure the walls line up nice and flush with each other. So let's do that. Okay, and then on this side too, we're gonna do just another standing block. We're gonna put it right here, screwed on nice and straight. Okay, so we have the full ramp, all of our walls in. Our standing deck, our slope, our center wall, and then our other standing deck. When your ramp is like this, you wanna make sure everything's looking straight, level how you want it, because this is the lightest your ramp's gonna be. And once you're satisfied, you go ahead and put all of your 2x4s following these grooves through your whole ramp, and then put a screw in every single. Okay, so as you can see here, we're putting all these in. We have our screw on one side and our 2x4 on the other. Now when you're putting your screw in, you want to watch your 2x4 and make sure that it's lifted up so that it's flush with your plywood wall. So I usually like to put a thumb on there and just put a little bit of upward pressure, and then you can drive your screw in. Just so you're nice and flush right there. As you can see here, we have all of the boards in our 8-foot wide ramp. Now, if you're building an 8-foot mini ramp, you can go ahead and skip ahead to where we do the coping and the skate surface. But right now we're gonna jump into doing our 12-foot extension. So we're gonna do a width extension right here. We'll grab that piece. Now, before you put on your skate surface, and if you have an extension before you attach it, right now is a really good time to make sure everything is level and straight. You're going to want to take a nice good look at your side walls and make sure they're running straight. Make sure your ramp is all meeting flat and level, because as you move forward, it's going to be harder and harder to adjust that. Okay, so we have our centerpiece and our two slope pieces in here. We are just going to line these up really square, put a couple screws straight through the wall right here, and then we'll square in our two slope pieces, and we'll put screws through these middle pieces to tie them together, and we'll put a couple screws in the wall just to really cinch them together, keep them tight. You're going to want to take your skate surface 1A, that is the middle piece in the first layer. You can start on either side of the ramp, and the important thing is you line it up, close right here. You line it up right here on your corners where they meet, and then make sure it's flush. Put it all the way down your ramp, and then you just screw it in.
All right, for the coping, here's what we're gonna do. First, lay your coping down, and you wanna make sure that it's flush on whichever side you're going to be seeing the most. Next, we're gonna get a Sharpie and mark exactly where we want our drill hole to be. So I'm just gonna do a little mark right down here. And then, with a 3/16 drill bit, you might need to go to your local hardware store and get one. I'm going to drill right on that hole. Also, make sure before you roll your coping to screw, you're going to want to make sure every single hole is in the same spot. For a 12-foot ramp like this, we recommend doing 4 screw holes. For an 8-foot ramp, we recommend doing 3. And for a 16-foot ramp, we recommend doing about 5 to 6. All right, now we are going to drill right on this hole that we just made. We're going to try to line up this screw with that hole. So I like to draw a visual line straight down, make a little mark, and go up at an angle. And as you can see right here, our screw meets up perfectly with that hole, and you're just going to sink it in just a little bit, not all the way, because now we're going to go do the other holes.
Good to start with the center flat pieces first, get them all lined up. These will be your basis for your slope pieces as you go forward.
All right, so these top sheets are a little bit tricky, so you're going to want to take your time here. What we're going to do, we're going to lay our slope piece, and you want to make sure each slope piece has these 3 screw holes that are close together on the top closest to the coping. Now you're going to come behind the ramp, and you're going to line up each corner with the groove or the hole where the coping is going to sit. So we're going to pull it up slightly and make sure it's flush right there on both sides, and also making sure it's flush with the side piece. So as you can see, I grabbed a friend to help me push this on. It is possible to do alone. It's a lot easier if you have an extra hand. But what you're gonna do is after you line it up, you're gonna get your friend and you're going to both flex the piece just a little bit. And that's gonna make it a lot easier to put your screws in. So we're gonna flex the piece, still making sure the top of this sheet is lined up with where the coping goes, and then you're going to screw in these 3 top pieces. And then once you do that, then you can proceed to the rest of the screws.
Surfaces, it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. You know, once you got your first layer on, as you put on your second layer or your gator skins, you can really just fit it against there, a little slow, and then kind of just stomp it into place. And if you got 2 people, it's really helpful to have one person stay on here while the other person starts evenly screwing up the surface. But then you're good. You're good to go. After that, you can trim anything you need to, and if you want to, preference-wise, put your coping on, and then you put your standing decks right on top.
We really hope this video was helpful. If you run into any complications or have any questions while building your mini ramp, please feel free to DM us on Instagram or email us at cowboyskate@gmail.com. And have fun on your new mini ramp.